Welcome back for another 3 girls a day date. This one ended up being one of the more interesting dates I've been on in quite some time. This girl had a pretty, let's say, unique personality. But it's a great example of a lot of interesting things that you can run into on the date and a lot of different sort of dynamics that can come up throughout the date. And also some interesting techniques because I met this girl actually at my apartment in this case, as opposed to most of the dates you've seen so far, which is where I met them in a public place near where I was staying. So that creates some interesting logistical differences as well. So I'll run you through all of that. But to start off with, let's get into the texting. In this case, I started off with a text, "Oh dear Lord." This is a text that's meant to be provocative. It's not necessarily going to get you the best responses when you do get responses, but it does get a pretty high response rate. So if you're good at doing turnarounds, if you're good at taking a girl who is responding but not positively and turning it into a good response, then this can be very effective. And that's kind of what I was planning on here when I sent that out and when I included it in the text that I was sending. So here I got a cocky answer back. She said, "HRM will do." Now, I had no idea what this meant. I knew it was some kind of weird acronym or whatever, but I had no idea. I could have looked it up, but instead I didn't really have time and I didn't really have the inclination to look up something for a random girl. So I just took a guess at it, and here's what I wrote. I said, "Please tell me HRM means something both cocky and witty like Her Majesty, winky face." So here I'm just, playing with like the idea of, are you being really that cocky? Are you clever? Et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just taking a suggestion of what it could be. And it turns out I was actually pretty close to what she was going for, which, I mean, based on the letters, based on context, I guess isn't surprising. But here's what she wrote. She writes, "Her Royal Majesty, smiley face." So at this point, it's interesting because technically HRM will do is a shit test, but in the way that I called it out and then the fact that she's smiling afterwards, I sort of treat it as though I've passed the shit test. I don't know if I really directly passed the shit test by like normal means or whatever, but at this point, because she's smiling, because she seems to be like approving of my answer, at this point, I'm just going to assume that things are positive and assume that the shit test part of the interaction is done. And so now I move into the closing sequence, and I do that by writing, "Haha, I can appreciate a little arrogance in a girl. Are you also adventurous?" So the "I can appreciate a little arrogance" is like sort of excusing away her cockiness and actually saying that she's won me over by it. So it's taking a qualifying frame as opposed to "I have to prove myself to you" frame. The idea being, I'm putting myself in the role of the selector. Does that make sense? So I'm putting myself in the role of being the selector and her being the selected. So even though I'm saying like nice things to her and I'm kind of giving her, a little more like of a friendly answer than she's given me, because it's coming from the frame of I'm high value and I've chosen her, it doesn't give away a lot of power. And so I go into qualifying and then I say, "Are you adventurous?" which is a soft way of deciding whether she's ready to start to try and prove herself to me, whether she's pretty into me and willing to like move things forward. Her answer is, "Well, I just came back from spending 3 weeks by myself in India, smiley face." And then she double texts, "Most Indians I met thought I was crazy to do that, but I had an amazing time." So here she's clearly qualifying herself. I said, "Are you adventurous?" She said, "Yes, I am," trying to prove herself. And then she even told a story about how she is, tried to, prove herself even more, told me some intimate details, etc. So she clearly likes me. She's clearly willing to participate and invest in the interaction. So from here, it's time to close. So as you've seen probably a bunch of times already, and you're probably pretty familiar with, I go through my closing sequence, and the next text is, "Sounds like a fun time. So tell me, what is your view on drinks and witty banter with cute boys?" So this drinks and witty banter with cute boys thing, you've seen that over and over. Sounds like a fun time is just my way of acknowledging that I actually read her message, that it's not just, it makes it seem a little bit less like a copy and paste, so it makes it seem a little more personal. To that, her response was, "Sounds like something that wouldn't cause me too much suffering, smiley face." So yeah, she seems pretty down, she seems pretty on, so all that's left here is to exchange numbers and move it forward. So I give her my number by saying, "Haha, good answer. My number is this. What's yours, Todd?" And she responds by saying, "Mine is phone number, name." So pretty simple, pretty straightforward once we got past that initial shit test. But it's very, very important how we did get to that initial shit test. And it's very important that once we were there, we didn't try and get fancy. We didn't try and like keep the conversation going a long time. We didn't try and like become her best friend via text. We just cut to the chase, went through the sequence, got the number. Pretty straightforward from there. Let's go, I think this way. Where we want to go is right here anyway, so this should work.
This is when I was in running shoes.
Really? matter what, you will not be uninteresting.
Is that a nice way of saying I'm a pain in the ass?
No. You are unique.
I definitely. Hi, good, thank you. Do you have It's actually not comfortable.
You're gonna move back.
Yeah. Oh, horrible.
Gonna make me get on the other rotating chair? How are we gonna do this? Alright. I'll go back to my rotation.
Yes, this is much
Yeah?
better, although I don't like the fact that it's leather, but it's more comfortable.
Okay. I have a feeling you're particular.
I'm very particular.
Just this much, maybe.
There's some things I don't really care about. Like, I'll just do whatever. But
Well, the one thing I will say about you for sure, it's clear that you've thought for yourself.
thought or thought?
Thought.
Yes. Yeah, well, it really is a pet peeve of mine. Well, not a pet peeve because I don't care, but I think it's sad when people are like, well, I wasn't raised.
I like that you lowered your voice and leaned in when you said that. It's adorable.
Well, I didn't want them to hear me talking.
I know, it's sweet. Because like you give the whole speech about like I don't care this, I don't care who sees me, but then when it actually affects like someone else, you actually do care. That's actually sweet.
Well, I mean, I care about other people's feelings. I don't care about their judgments of me, but I wouldn't talk about somebody or want to offend anybody. Not that I would offend them, they'd probably like it. But
When given a compliment, it's okay to sometimes just say thank you. It's okay.
whatever. Pole dancing, and I want to do a pole burlesque routine. I think that would be really fun. I love my life.
I love the looks on your face sometimes. It's very cute.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh my.
I like, a lesser position, so I feel like I can
Help
contribute
do that.
in that arena. Yeah.
I love when you talk about the things you're actually passionate about. It's very cute. And cute's not even the right word, but it's endearing, if you will.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's nice to see like your eyes light up. You know, like excited.
Does that mean I look dead? Otherwise, I'm like.
Well, I wasn't gonna say anything, but now that you mention it, you're not bad.
I'm always, even when I'm really busy, I always make time for my friends.
Are you the type of person you have a lot of friends or a few really close ones?
Neither. Both.
No friends? Nobody likes you? I'm sorry, that must be tough.
Everyone hates you.
I'm sorry.
I'm really difficult.
I don't hate you yet. I mean, like, I have my
Give it
moments
time.
back and forth.
Like 5 more minutes.
I'll just be like, fuck this
stand
girl.
this
I'm
bitch.
over it. I wouldn't say can't stand this bitch. I don't use that word. But I would be like, can't stand this lovely, wonderful woman who's just not for me in any way. I'm just kidding.
She's crazy. Yeah.
All right. Shall we further libation?
Sure, but that lamp, what is the base of that lamp?
Some kind of tree or some kind of carving.
That's really interesting. I want like reclaimed wood chairs, even though I don't love the looks. My style is kind of Zen Liberace. I like purple velvet everywhere. But I want to like reclaimed wood.
You are the most adorably all over the place person. But there are times when I want to just like watch you go everywhere and just like enjoy it, and there are times I want to be like, hey.
Focus.
Anyway, yeah.
I told you, I'm like the poster child for ADHD.
Are you really?
And harness them to get things done. Because I always got all my papers in on time. I always do everything according to deadlines, which is just...
You're adorable. Come on. Let's go. Come.
Am I supposed to move right now?
Yes.
Oh.
There are moments when I'm gonna let you ramble, and there are moments when I'm gonna be like,
Focus.
focus.
I like the
focus.
pillows.
Yeah. Appreciate your enthusiasm. It's more rare than it should be.
Well, you know, I think when you have done as much therapy as I have and as much meditation, you really get to a point where you have to live with yourself and what brings you joy, and you stop investing so much in others' opinions, especially because...
Why do I find you a little bit adorable? Like certain things you say, I don't know. You're definitely one of the more unusual people I've ever met, but I don't entirely not enjoy you. What can I say?
Don't entirely not enjoy.
Like that phrase? You can
Good
use
thing
that.
I don't
Use that.
get
Use
easily
that right.
insulted.
It's not insulting.
I don't entirely not enjoy you.
You know what I mean. You're not so bad.
You don't entirely suck.
I find myself in. I mean, I haven't taken the fake phone call and been like, sorry, emergency with, my mother in a different state. I have to go catch the first flight out, and it was really nice meeting you.
I'd probably be like,
I want you to know it's not you, it's me.
I'm
Let's see
pretty
what we're working
impressed
with
with
you.
myself.
Are you?
Yeah,
Let's see.
but the right is better.
Okay. Not bad. You're firm.
What do you mean not bad? How many women do you know who are like that? You're not feeling it. You have to
You
go
want
like
me
that.
to get in there?
Yeah.
And, I like a grimace too.
It's pretty good.
You're not bad, like I said.
What do you mean not bad? How many women can curl 20 pounds? Each arm.
I've known a lot of athletes in my life.
Whatever. As an actress, I wanted to go up to people and be like, "Hi, are you important?"
You are absolutely adorable. I feel like you and I should have adventures together. Just walk around and create chaos and havoc.
I say that. Like at work when I'm...
You also are not. You're not the worst cuddler either in the world.
I like all your... what's the opposite of a superlative?
Okay. We can always head over and figure out an activity in that area. Where are you? You're actually just on the street up from my... Okay. That's not bad.
If I were on acid, I bet I'd be fascinated with my shoes.
I'm trying to ask you to be fascinated by everything.
Everything.
Let's be honest.
Everything.
That little trance over the ceiling, that would really last.
I'd be like a cat with a Q-tip. I could entertain myself for hours.
Well, you're not too bad in that department as is.
Cat with a Q-tip?
No, entertaining yourself for hours.
Oh yeah. I'm totally fine. Like I never get bored when I'm by myself. I went to an AA meeting one time.
Well, thank you for including me in your monologue this evening. It's very sweet. I really appreciate that.
I could be offended by that.
God. Having your own cults.
Everything I say is tongue in
I
cheek.
think you are mildly dangerous.
Mildly dangerous.
So far. I mean, jury's out on both, whether it's more dangerous or not
Mildly
at all.
or which part am
Both
I?
parts.
Should I ask about?
Both parts. There's a chance you're not dangerous, and there's a chance you're very dangerous.
I never want to answer.
Why I'm lucky to have you pick up?
Yeah.
Why do you always walk fast?
Why? Because I like feeling
Motion.
movement. Yes.
All right, come here, you. So here's my plan. A, feed the meter so that the fascists don't get you. And then what I would love to do. Here? Adorable.
Kinda
What am I
wasted
gonna
now.
do with you?
Go to Raw.
Yeah, where's that?
I don't know. It's not far from here, but I would love to go there.
I can handle that. Come here, you.
Here.
Oh my god.
I can't wait.
Oh
So
my
excited.
god.
I'm so excited. Just
I hate you a little bit and I love you a little bit right now. All right.
angel sentiment.
All right, so this was truly one of the more interesting dates I've been on in quite some time. But the first thing I want to talk to you is not actually the oddness of this girl's personality, which we'll get into, and actually particularly how to deal with girls like this in that particular blueprint. But the first thing I want you to note is at the very start of this date, you'll notice we're walking into the apartment. And what I did here was I actually invited her to my address. She parked outside, and then what I did is I went out, and then I said, oh yeah, I left my wallet upstairs. I have to go up and grab it. And then we went up, had her get inside the apartment, get used to being there, chill out, just realize that it's a fairly safe place, etc. And then from there we went out on the date. And this is a really, really great technique to use if you are able to invite the girl over to your place, or especially if there are places within walking distance of where you're staying. So I was out in LA, not in my normal venue, and I actually had this opportunity, so I thought I would bring that to you this time. And this is something that massively increases your chances of success, because at the end of the night, when you have that awkward time of like, do I come into his house? Do I not come into his house? The girl's already been into your place. And so there's not really a good reason for her to object to coming up. So it just smooths the process considerably. So we went from there, then we ended up walking to the venue, sat, had drinks, talked, etc. Now this girl was about as incompatible with me personality-wise as you could possibly get, but she speaks to a particular archetype of girl, which is she's extremely strongly opinionated. She has her own very, in my opinion, odd viewpoint of life, but she has her very particular viewpoint. And she's fairly passionate about the things she'll talk about. She'll just, if you get her started, she'll just talk and talk and talk and talk. And with a girl like this, what you really have to do is just keep her talking on the right topics. If you get her talking on the wrong topics, like she might complain about certain things or get on topics that will tend to be negative in nature, or will tend to put her out of a sexual mood or out of a happy mood, you want to avoid those topics. You want to not do that. The other thing you want to do is you want to avoid being sort of run over in the conversation. You don't want it to be blah, 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 blah on her end, and you're just sitting there and taking it and not having an opinion either way. So in this case, what I really had to do was just participate here and there in the conversation, show that I was sort of awake, available, present, interested, but also sort of at certain times make fun of her. When she said things that were too extreme, call her out, tell her she's a little odd, tell her she's unique, things like that. Without it being super negative, without getting reactive, and without being confrontational, because you're not going to change someone's worldview on a date, right? That's very unlikely to happen. Now, if you were going to date this girl long term, first of all, heaven help you, but if you were going to date this girl long term, you would maybe at some point need to address some of those issues. But for a first date, for getting to know her, you don't really want to deal with that until she likes you, she's invested in you, and you have some leverage to work with. So, what I did basically was just continue to pay attention, make fun of her, and then lead the interaction here and there. And also the other thing I did is she would tend to talk on things that she was passionate about, but things that were political or environmental, or she was a vegan, so very much about diet and that kind of stuff. She'd talk about things that were like that, and those are fine topics. She's passionate about them. She likes talking about them, so that's fine. But there's nothing sexual about that as a conversation. So you'll notice that a lot of the dialogue I had in this set was bringing it back to man to woman, bringing it back to sexual in nature, bringing it back to about me and her. And then the other thing that you have to do with a girl like this is let her lead to a certain extent, but don't let her lead too far. So you'll notice that even though my baseline plan for this date was to bring her back up to the apartment, which is why I took her there in the first place, when we actually did end up leaving the venue, we ended up snuggling on the street a little bit, getting in her car, and then just driving off onto plans of her invention, which not typically the way I would like things to go, but in this case, I was okay with it because, again, she was leading enthusiastically. It was all very positive, etc. And in this case, it would take some patience. I was actually worried about halfway through this date that because she was talking so much and wouldn't slow down, I wouldn't be able to get physical with her. But that concern was allayed a bit by the fact that once we moved within the venue and we were kind of sitting on that more like chaise loungy type thing, she was cuddling up with me, so that was fine. And then when we got back to just outside of her car, we actually did get a lot more intimate. We were hugging, I was pulling her hair, and she got a lot more giggly and happy and a lot more sensual and sexual at that point. So from there, I just knew that it was a case of I just have to bide my time and, just put enough time to get to know her, kind of let her lead me towards what she wants. Because end of the day, even though she's a little eccentric, she's still clearly a woman. She is pretty open and pretty liberal with things sexual, it seems, for the most part. So it was, kind of a case of putting in my time. And again, continuing to make sure the conversation stays on track and continuing to not just get run over, because she's the type of girl that will talk and talk and talk and talk if you let her.